Hi Cancer, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot. Welcome to your cards for January of 2021. Thanks for being patient, guys. My entire family was diagnosed with COVID over Christmas. I was able to get a couple of videos out, and then the bottom kind of fell out. It was an ugly couple of days, but we're all a bit on the mend. Feeling a little bit better. I'm going to probably still keep these videos short because I do cough a lot and I don't want to do that in your readings. But please know that, these messages are for the next month, and I wouldn't be doing them if I didn't think that I could clearly communicate what I'm seeing here. So bear with me and let's get into these cards. I'm sure we're all super excited for 2020 to be over. I'm taping this on New Year's Day, and even though I slept through the entire end of 2020, which was a very fitting ending for me for the year, I guess in a lot of ways, we're cardinal signs, so we've been through it. We've really been through it the past year, and now we are going to get a little bit of relief. Finally, Saturn moves out of your 7th house, so that's relief in and of itself, takes the pressure off a little bit. And then the focus is kind of a little bit more on the fixed signs. So, every big transit, every big moon doesn't necessarily have to be a soul-crushing experience like it was in 2020. The thing is, 2020 is over and we're different now. There's really no denying that. As I went through the last few days myself, I've been on kind of this COVID journey, which has been, I can't even describe it yet. I'm not really even ready to put words to it. I've been through so much. We were all so sick, and on top of, the general malaise of not feeling well yourself, there's the worry for your children and the other people in your life that aren't feeling well. And then there was the pressure of the holidays and trying to salvage something from that. And even though I was very, very ill, I found that my energy and focus was still on my children, and in that it was a blessing. I think the not being able to focus on myself so much probably made it a little bit more tolerable. And at the same time, anybody who hasn't had COVID, it's hard to explain, but it really, and maybe this was part of it because it was a full moon on my natal moon, and of course it was a full moon on your Cancer placement. I thought I had done so much work, 2020 had kind of made me pretty zen by the end of it. I was no longer getting upset. I wasn't as easily triggered. I found myself much easier to kind of surrender to what the universe wanted from me. And then all of this happened, and things came to the surface, parts of me that, who I am when I don't feel safe or in control of the situation. So, here we are. We're not perfect. We're still going through all this stuff, even though 2020 really put us through the ringer. I think the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 will definitely emphasize where we are on this journey, how far we've come. But it's also going to bring you a lot of clarity as to what is left. What's left, what needs to be finished up, what cycles are we wrapping up, because it's all about ending and the new. Now, we're cardinal signs, so it's very natural for us to want to start the new stuff, to want to make the big commitments, like Cancers, Libras, Aries, and Capricorns are really good at the New Year's resolutions and I want to create this next year. I want to be this. I want to embody that. I want to be in really good health. I want to start that business, whatever it is. I think it's easy for us to jump into that new stuff, whereas closing out the old stuff might be somewhat of a challenge, and there might be things that we didn't even know that we were avoiding doing. I get that as a theme as we go through January and February, and we work our way into the entire theme of 2021, which starts in mid-February, which is a Saturn-Uranus square. January is kind of setting the stage. Now, we're also just getting adjusted. We are finally out of eclipse season, but we're getting used to this Saturn and Jupiter now being in Aquarius. We're making our way through that. There's social stuff going on. There's big changes. And we're still dealing with a lot of unanswered stuff, right? There's so much that we really don't know yet. Like, we have the inauguration coming up, and yet... One second. It's like the longest buzzword ever. It's really not necessary. We have the inauguration coming up, and yet there's so much that we don't know. There's so many questions, the stimulus checks, like, are they, aren't they? Yes, no, maybe more. I mean, we really just don't know. And the thing is, that's coming out very apparent, particular to Cancer's cards here. You are coming out as a King of Swords. This tells me that you have been in the place of not knowing. Now, I say that because your first card out is a Two of Swords with the Strength card. So right away, I feel like Cancer's had to do a lot of maybe compromising. Maybe there have been decisions that have been made, and it's probably been on behalf of someone else, what's good for, what's for the greater good, what works out best for the people that I love, what keeps things normal. When I see the Strength card, there's an element here of having to be strong. Maybe you've been a place of assisting other people, watching other people, witnessing things going on with other people. Maybe you've been through something like me, where in spite of your own illness, you kind of had to set yourself aside and take care of other people around you. Sometimes that could be the Strength card as well. Whatever it is, of course, it certainly builds character. I think that this cycle has been going on for quite some time. I think this has pretty much been that whole Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter conjunction in your 7th house. The 7th house is who we are with the other people in our lives. It doesn't have to necessarily be, our romantic partners. Oftentimes the 7th house does represent a spouse, but it could also be best friends, your children, your soulmates. It's a soulmate house. And there's a lot of changes. And I don't think that now is a really good time for anyone to really underestimate Cancer's spider sense. Your intuition is serving you, and it's serving you well. However, you might be in your head a little bit at this time. I'm not even, I don't get the feeling like that's necessarily a bad thing. See, the thing is, Cancer senses the changes coming. King of Swords, very Aquarius vibes here. There's emotional detachment, and maybe through any kind of circumstance, you're sort of having to set aside your best intentions. This is where Cancer is always worried about how it's going to affect other people. We don't want to disappoint anybody. We don't want to let anybody down. Capricorn had a similar energy to this as well. But the thing is, Cancer, how long do you stick around putting your life and your dreams on hold while the people around you figure out their stuff? Now, I feel with this King of Swords that there's been a lot of progress, maybe in years past, maybe before 2020 and all of these transits, maybe Cancer tried to control and manipulate the situation in ways. Oftentimes Cancers do that. It's not, it's never a malicious kind of manipulation. I always like to make that clear, because I know a lot of Cancers will be like, what do you mean I manipulate? I don't manipulate. Well, but you do. I'm so sorry, guys. That's so annoying. You do manipulate in a form of keeping yourself safe. There is a, when they say about the moving sideways, a crab doesn't move front and back, meaning it's not aggressive. It sidesteps things. And sometimes Cancers can kind of avoid confrontations that really ultimately are meant to happen. And this is what I mean about closing up the cycles. There are probably things that need to be said. There were probably things that have been left undone. And the karma can't quite clear out. It can't change directions. You can't change directions until you've closed these situations out. Now, I think the universe does put you in the emotional state of the King of Swords, because in a way this is your ability to cope. If you were in your cups loving energy, this might really throw you off. You might not make the decisions that the universe is really needing you to make right now. Now, I'm focusing in on that Two of Swords. I'm so drawn to the way that she's kind of blocking herself off. Those swords are like this. And so there seems to be a lack of belief in self. There seems to be almost a self-protection in which it's actually causing you harm. Sometimes I see the Two of Swords as really thinking small. And so I like that the King of Swords is right above it, because I think you're breaking that cycle with that Strength card. I think you're breaking the cycle of thinking small. Now, this could be in your relationships. This could just be within your dynamics with other people. Sometimes I often say that Cancer asks so very little of people, Cancers ask so little, and yet even then, often they are disappointed. Their hearts are left disappointed. Even if people do deliver on exactly what Cancer asks for, because you certainly don't want to ask for too much, what happens is you start to build an inward resentment, represented by the Strength card, but why in my entire life have I only received so very little from people? See, you're being asked to kind of grow up in a way when it comes to relationships and your dynamics with other people. It means that Cancer is going to have to start asking. And I think that this is what this cycle has been all about. Now, your archetype card for the month is that of the riddle, and these I like to read to you. The puzzle, the question, and the mystery. When the riddle is present, one must stop searching for the right answer. It cannot be found, and ultimately it is not important. Rather, there must be a shift from the literal to the metaphorical, from logic to mythic. You are thinking too small and literal about the situation. The riddle card appears when the energy is deep and mysterious, like the elusive wisdom in a Zen cone. Focusing harder won't do it. Neither will increased effort. Time, surrender, and humor are your only allies. What feels like the most pressing dilemma won't reveal its deeper wisdom for a long time. Eventually, you'll learn a profound lesson from the riddle. For now, get comfortable with the limitations of your intellect and the reality of not knowing. It may, in fact, be the only reality there is. So I do think that this is Cancer getting, comfortable in this Two of Swords, where you're kind of just protecting yourself, protecting your investments in some way, trying to make the best decisions you can for yourself. And there's definitely an emphasis on the best decisions for yourself. I see that with the Strength card. I see that with the Leo card. And I think that Cancer is doing a lot of questioning. Like I said, this is that emotional detachment. It doesn't really matter other people around you. It doesn't matter their feelings as much. We could start to really get to the bottom of what we've got going on, because we could see the greater picture. You know, we might start to look at the people in our lives, our coworkers, our friends, our siblings, our parents, even our children, and we look at the dynamics and how we work with each other. And we start to really realize how we create. We are always co-creating these situations. Maybe you feel as though you overgive. Maybe Cancer feels as though it's never really about them. And you have to understand the role that you play in that, on whether or not you allow. And see, the thing about that thinking too small, asking too little of other people, is that it's almost like you are in a place where you are afraid to receive. Now, I see that strongly in this reading. Cancer is starting to find their voice. Now, the next two cards out is the Emperor and the King of Cups. And I think this is what happens when you have the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction in your 8th house of transformation, of power dynamics. Now, most likely, this will bring new karmic relationships into your life. At the very least, it will help you to step into your power. Remember, now the only thing that we have left over in that 7th house is Pluto. Pluto, the planet of transformation. We are under a transformation in how we handle and go about our relationships. And I don't think that Cancers are selling themselves short anymore. I don't think they're settling for the little bit that they used to settle with. You know, there's a lot, when I see the Emperor card come out, there's a lot about initiation. And I think this is Cancer saying, you know, it's not going to be like this anymore, and I'm not going to put everybody else before myself. This is Cancer finding their voice, finding their backbone. And right next to it, the King of Cups is a really beautiful energy of understanding that all of life is about investing in yourself. When you do the stuff, when you live the kind of life that makes you a better person, when you invest in yourself, when you take care of yourself, this could be from, you know, making sure that you give yourself better food, feeding yourself better, caring for yourself better, making the better decisions, making better, healthier decisions for yourself, then there is more of you to give back. When you are in a healthier state of mind, meaning that you're no longer participating in relationships that drain you or put you in a negative mindset or a negative emotional space, you start to realize what happens to the quality of your life when you are in those situations. If you're in relationships that make you feel not good about yourself, you start to see that play out. Listen, as above, so below. It's a study of astrology. It's a study of the planets. Clearly, what is going on within us, within our lives, within our, you know, private, personal lives, there's so much that's coming to an end, and there's so much that's going to change about our values, about our priorities, about how we want to live our life. 2021 is really a year of massive change. January is just the beginning. This is the beginning. This is when we start to plant the seeds. Remember, Aries is about beginning. And the Emperor is about what's for the greater good of everybody, right? The Emperor is not a king. He wasn't born into it. He had to fight for his position by being a good leader. And then there's elements of Cancer where I think you are starting to set the tone for your relationships and how you want others to treat you, how you want others to respond to you. If it comes to jobs, it's no longer taking positions where you're not paid your worth. It's not about doing all the work of all the other people. You know, Cancer's not going to be easily manipulated. It's not about making others happy. When you see that King of Cups coming up next to it, it's about doing the things that make you happy so that you have enough to give back to the people around you. Above these two cards is the Oracle card, Have Faith in Your Dreams, Waxing Crescent Moon. Things are building, okay? Like I said, January is just the beginning, and there are major changes around the corner. It will not feel as jolting and hard as life was in 2020. We're done with the major disappointments. We're done with the major losses. It doesn't mean that crazy stuff isn't going to happen. When Uranus is involved, it's always going to happen. But right now, I think there's a gentler energy kind of coming in for Cancer. I think once you get through the middle of February, there's definitely clean sailing. The energy starts to open wide up. New opportunities start to come in. But like I said, there's work to be done in the next 2 months. Work to be done as far as your emotional world. Now, as well, we're just coming off of this major Cancer full moon. And then we have a new moon conjunct Pluto mid-month in January. And that's a pretty powerful moon in your 7th house. That's definitely a reset. That could bring new people into your life. It could straighten out relationships you didn't realize were going to be straightened out. It could really change the situation of the people that you're intimately involved with in ways that you weren't expecting, which might open up some pretty crazy doors for you. Cancer, I think that's what's happening. Now, your next 2 cards out, actually, your antagonizing card, the warning card for this month is the Wheel of Fortune. And I like this. It's not bad. It doesn't matter where you get the Wheel of Fortune in your reading. It's never bad to get the Wheel of Fortune. But when I see it here, and I see you here like this is you overcoming some pretty big fears. Okay? This is you overcoming the fear of saying things like, I need it to be like this, or I require this from you, or you need to give more, or you need to step up, or you need to do more on your own. And I think this is about Cancer delivering the messages to people that it's going to be more about yourself, creating what you want. The Wheel of Fortune in this position tells me that there are definitely elements that are going to come to the surface for Cancer where you're going to realize how you have been holding this change back from occurring for quite some time, subconsciously. Whether it be an ultimate fear of success, a fear of happiness. Maybe you've just had this dream for so long that there becomes a fear of what happens when it comes true. Like, what's left? What do you build from there? You know, there's a fear of the change that's coming, but the change is inevitable. Now, Cancer, if you're holding on to old relationships, if you're holding on to the pain from old relationships, if you're not allowing yourself to get out there and meet new people, if you've become hardened, as you can sometimes, King of Swords can be very detached emotionally. This is somebody who could say, to hell with love, to hell with relationships. I'm just not going to participate in them anymore. I don't need other people in my life. They could have kind of that tunnel vision of, this is my career, this is my reputation. You know, I have these goals that I want to focus on, and it's really not going to be about love, and it's not going to be about other people. You might be there. And yet by the end of January, when we experience that full moon in your 2nd house in Leo, I think the story might change a little bit. I think your values might change. Your priorities might change. It might be very unexpected. What I think is unexpected is right above this Wheel of Fortune card, you've got the card of soulmates, card number 41, which breaks down to a 5, which is about change. Capricorn had a lot in their 2021 preview about how we're going to be closing out karmic relationships and inviting in new ones. There are old relationships. Maybe this is the exes that we're talking about. Maybe this is the old neighbors, old jobs, old coworkers. There are people that are leaving your life in order to make space for the new people that are coming in. If you are holding on to old relationships, if you are fearing change in any way, or if you are just refusing, we're still in isolation mode. I know more than anybody. Isolation mode, okay? Being stuck in the house. There's no chance of getting much done, let alone meeting new people. So, again, with the riddle, you can't watch these videos and try to piece together how it's going to happen, okay? You have to remove yourself from the how and why. When you're the King of Swords, you have to remove yourself from trying to figure out how it's all going to click into place. Instead, you just have to know it will. King of Cups, it will all click into place. You don't want to be mentally in a place of not believing in it. We want to be open to this. We don't want to be in this Two of Swords anymore. We don't want to necessarily even be in control anymore. This is where we let the universe kind of take over. We're in a period of the universe setting us in our new paths. What we're moving towards next. 2021 and the beginning of 2022 are going to be pretty epic. 2022 to 2024 can be pretty changing as well, but in a lot of different ways. We're kind of in and out of a Renaissance period, as you see. We'll go through periods of change, and then we'll go through periods of a reprieve, a Renaissance, if you will. There's so much more creative stuff that's happening. As the old kind of crumbles, the new is born. So we have to understand that we're in that phase. Please know that if you're letting go of any relationships that no longer serve you, if you're letting go of jobs, if you're moving, you're kind of right on track with what the universe is asking you to do. Now your outcome is the Chariot card, which means there's no stopping the Chariot. There's no stopping the forward movement. Listen, these are all really big cards of change. There is no doubt things are in the works. Now, your overall energy is that of the Temperance card and the Magician. Wow. Wow. Cancer, this is really big. This is really big. What you're working through in January is really bringing some major changes into your life. The thing is, I don't know if you realize it or not. I don't know, as you're going through kind of this, it feels like a new emotional landscape of some sort. I don't think you realize what you're inviting, what the seeds that you're planting at this time. By allowing these changes, by allowing people to kind of come and go in and out of your life, and focusing on yourself and what you truly want. Now remember, the Temperance card and the Magician means that the seeds have been planted, you've been heard. The things you've asked for from the universe, if you've asked for more money, if you've asked for freedom, if you've asked for the love of your life, it is coming. It's in the works. There's no doubt. You don't get all of these cards of change and advancement in your life. The universe is working on it. It's really important that you understand that what you're creating now Ace of Pentacles will be your reality for a very long time. If you're starting a new job, if you're starting new relationships, these are probably, if you're meeting a new person, this is probably somebody that's going to be in your life for over 20 years or so, for at least the Saturn-Jupiter cycle. It's big. These things are big. The new things that we're starting, if you're buying a new home or if you're making some kind of an investment, it is a long-term investment. Don't be afraid to make these big decisions, or at least to consider them in the month of January. February might be more of the time to actually get it done. January is really a time about dreaming up the possibilities, planting those seeds. Do not underestimate the power of your thoughts in this month. Be careful what you ask for, because you will receive it. Now, we've been shown through 2020 a lot of contrast, so remember to keep that in mind. And remember to focus on the things that you do want, okay? But it doesn't, I'm sorry, they're giving me a message. Don't focus so much on the things that you don't want anymore, okay? Be clear in your communication with the universe. That's what they're telling me. So you don't want to manifest from a place of, you know, if you've been through a lot of relationships and maybe they were not emotionally available. Because this King of Cups is just, I think this is you. Actually, I think this is you demanding that the people in your life are more emotionally available. Like I said, Cancer's starting to ask for more. So you want to be really careful if you've been dealing with people. The Emperor can be rather selfish. It's Aries. Maybe you've been attracting a lot of people that have been paying more attention to themselves. Maybe this has been a habit. And maybe now you're finally saying to the universe, I'm done dating selfish people. You know, maybe that's been a theme for a while. And you're looking for that person that is emotionally supportive, okay? It's coming. It's coming. It's being arranged. That person's kind of getting ready. I mean, this is really all about being ready to be ready, Cancer. And to focus on the things that you really do love. Also, pay attention to the new moons. A new moon in Capricorn in your 7th would be a really good time to set some really precious intentions about who it is that you want to attract next, if you're single and looking for new love, or how you want to improve your relationship with others in your life, what you would like to get out of them in this next cycle. It doesn't always necessarily mean we're going to end the relationships, but maybe what they do for us will change. So, you know, maybe even if you are married for 25 years and all of a sudden you're starting to empty nest, you know, you are both moving into a new cycle together. You're still with the same people, but it's a new cycle, and you're different and they're different. And how do you want to experience this cycle? Maybe you're deciding that you want to sell the family home and travel. You know, these are big changes that can come to us in 2020. And I think it's important to remember to ask for what you truly want, and to don't think small. Ask for the big stuff, because I think it's headed your way. And it's not about, remember the riddle, it's not about piecing it together how it's going to happen. That's really none of your business. You just have to let it happen. This is about overcoming the need to control and let things happen, Cancer. The universe is going to do a way better job than you will. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much. Don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed the video or resonated with you. I will be back mid-month, hopefully, with the love readings. All right, guys, take care. Have a wonderful January. Lots of love. Bye.